What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Make an Impact podcast with real stories, real people, and real impact. My name is Stephen Turnbull. I'm an entrepreneur, husband, and father on a mission to empower individuals to share their stories so they can make an impact on you. We have Erika Lamberto in the house today. She is the owner of Calabria Coffee. With her and her husband, she just shares her story of how they uprooted their family from out west, moved here to New Hartford, New York to offer this amazing coffee shop to our community, how she's built a community around her coffee shop. It's just an overall great story of entrepreneurship. I hope you enjoy Erika Lamberto. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Make an Impact podcast. Super excited for our conversation today. We have Erika Lamberto with Calabria Coffee. How'd I do?
You did great.
Spot on.
Yep.
I was practicing that a little bit.
Yes.
For the record, I've said it right the entire time, and then I said Calabria because I thought I was saying it wrong, but I said it right the entire time. And just for the record, for the millions of viewers, Mike has been saying it right the entire time, and he loves when I bring him in. So how are you today?
I'm doing good.
We've been trying to make this happen. I appreciate being flexible.
Yes.
I know we're both busy business owners and all the good stuff, kids and all that.
Yes,
But
I appreciate you inviting me to join you today, too.
Absolutely. So I want to know all about the story. So take us back. How did the idea happen with the coffee shop? Where did it come from? We'll learn about you. It's you and your husband that run the coffee shop, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And it's located in New Hartford. Mm-hmm. And it was the old eyeglass store, correct? If I'm thinking right.
Yes, and before it was the eyeglass store, it was the original Peter's Cornucopia.
Did not know that.
Yes.
See.
So fun fact, even if you want to go farther back than that, that was Peter's original store.
Gotcha. So are you guys from the area?
So my husband is, yes. Okay. So he is from, born and raised New Hartford. I'm originally from Michigan. Okay. I can show you.
Go blue?
No.
Oh.
So.
Oh, boy.
This is gonna become a serious conversation real
let's
fast.
Do it.
So I grew up in Michigan. I went to Michigan State University.
Oh, so of course, no blue. So, okay, I get it.
Yeah, Spartans all the way. My dad went to Michigan State University, so I grew up going to the football games. He had season tickets, so my entire life going to the campus. Absolutely loved it. Beautiful campus. And when I got to being a senior in high school, I only applied to one school.
Love that.
Yeah, I love my experience there. It was amazing. When I graduated, I actually packed up my car. My mom drove with me. We drove to California and didn't have a job. I had a family friend that I was staying with, and I was like, I'm going to make it in Hollywood. Not in the way you guys think. So if you guys have seen the movie The Holiday, it's a Christmas movie with Cameron Diaz, and she edits movie trailers. That's her job. So when I initially graduated from college, I had a dual major, and my dream was to edit movie trailers. So it was like, I'm going to drive out, packed up my car, go out to California, and I'm just going to make it happen. Didn't look back. Cool. So I actually interviewed with two companies when I got there. One of them was my dream company that edited movie trailers. And I did get offered a job with them, but I also interviewed with the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, which is the Oscars. Mm. And they offered me a job on the spot. And I thought to myself, I could take the job where, it was my initial, dream that's starting at the bottom, working my way up in that company. And I decided that I was like, I can't turn down this job with the Oscars. I was like, I have to take it. Mm-hmm. I'm like, this is an amazing opportunity for me. So I worked for them as a seasonal assistant, and that was my first job out of college.
Wow.
So.
All right, take us back. Take us back to driving out there.
Yes.
I feel like there's two sides of and this can go into leaving high school or leaving college or and if you were in your same state and in the area and all that, you had I applied to one school, but then I'm going to California. Mm-hmm. Talk to us about that drive out there of and so you didn't have anything set up when you were moving out there, you just said, right?
No, so I had a family friend. I had one of my mom's cousins had a friend of his, close friend of his, who lived out in California. And she had an extra room in her condo, and he had talked to her about it, that, I was graduating from college and, my dream was to move to California and kind of pursue things in the industry there. And she was kind enough that she's like, yeah, I'll let her just stay with me while she figures things out. And I literally, I didn't have a second thought about it. I guess that's what's special about like when you're young, you just, you're more able to take risks, and it's like, you don't really think twice about it. I didn't feel like nervous, or I was just excited. I was like, I worked super hard to get my degree. I got a Bachelor of Arts degree, and I just had this dream, and I was like, I'm going to make it happen. So I just, like I said, I packed up my car with whatever belongings I could fit, which I had a very small vehicle at the time. So I literally like couldn't fit that much. And I was like, it's all right. I'm just going to go for it. And my mom drove out there with me. So I wasn't, alone. Obviously, it's like I'm an adult and, but she's like, wanted to help me like get out there safely. And then once I got there, I was like with a family friend, move my stuff in, and my mom flew back to Michigan. And and I just happened to, she had a friend who lived in her same condominium, and she worked for the Oscars. And I think I met her, I want to say either the day I moved in or the very following day. And it was like a chance encounter. And she's like, oh yeah, we're actually hiring right now. She's like, would you want to come in for an interview? And I was like, this is like a dream of mine. I've always been like, loved movies, and that's something that was, always a passion of mine.
Yeah.
I interned on the set of a movie when I was in college too. So I had, worked on the set of a movie before, and, had been in kind of that, had experience in that industry. And I just was like a chance encounter, and I was like, yeah, I would love to interview. And then I feel like the very next day I got an interview because she worked for the company. And like I said, I got hired on the spot. So it was like,
wow.
Initially, like just
Car wasn't even unpacked yet.
No, and it was just like there I was, and then I was living in Playa del Rey, which is right next to the water, so it's like a beautiful, beach town. Yeah. And I was commuting into Beverly Hills to work at the Oscars every day.
That's incredible.
And it was great. It was only like I said, it was a seasonal position, so it wasn't an extended period of time, but I feel like it was a good start into I think it was a good indication of like, if you have a dream, go for it, and always follow your heart. And, who knows what can happen.
So keep taking us through there. So that was a seasonal position. And then what was next?
So what was next? I wasn't sure. I was originally thinking I was going to go back, and, I had called because I said the other company had offered me a job. So I called them back and I said, I appreciate the offer. And I was like, I did get offered a job as well with the academy. And they were like, oh, that's, they were like very like receptive to that. They're just like, give us a call once your position is done there. And pretty much we're like, we'll, bring you back onto our team. Cool. And like, I wouldn't miss a beat. However, life sometimes, obviously doesn't always go as planned. And I ended up going, and I have family that lived in Vegas, and I like went to visit them. And long story short, that's where I met my husband, because he was working in the hospitality industry. And so I ended up shifting gears. So I said I was a dual major. So I was a dual major in advertising and media arts and technology. And so instead of focusing on my media arts and technology, which would have been, doing the editing and doing all that in the film industry, I shifted to my advertising. So I ended up doing advertising and marketing for various hotels, casinos, resorts, nightlife in Las Vegas.
So were you living in Vegas then?
Yes.
When you shifted? Tell us what that was like.
Yes. So that was unexpected for me because that was never on my radar. Like I said, I was like dead set on California. Yeah. That was going to be my path. And, like I said, when I had finished my position with the academy, and I think I had called that other company, and I think at that time they were like, oh, I'm so sorry. We're not the same position, wasn't hiring. They're like, you could come work for us still, but we can only pay you $8.25 an hour. and it's just going to be like pretty much running errands for everyone, like getting coffee, doing all that, which is fine. Like a lot of times, like if you do go work in the industry in California, that's where you start. They have you start at the bottom.
Right.
And the only problem was that wouldn't pay the rent. So I had to take a step back and be like, realistically, I, can't afford an apartment on that income.
Right.
So I was like, okay, so I'm going to have to keep applying for other jobs and circle back to that. And so I had family, relatives in Las Vegas. And I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to go stay with them while I'm still applying for jobs and, California, because it's only a 4-hour drive. So I'm like, that's easy. I'm like, I can easily commute back for an interview. And then once I secure a job there, no big deal. Then I'll just pack up my car again and go right back, move into my apartment, and I'll be good to go. Yeah. But like I said, when I got to Las Vegas, and obviously I'm like, I'm not one to sit around. So I'm like, I'm going to be working while I'm here just because that's like, I can't just sit and do nothing. That's just not my personality. So like I said, I ended up getting a job there that I was thinking is a temporary job just while I'm 100%, I'm going to California. This is what I'm doing. Thinking I'm taking a temporary job, and I'm like, I'm going to be out of here in no time, right? Well, like I said, long story short, the company I ended up getting the temporary job with was where Bryce, my husband, worked as well.
Gotcha.
And then once we met, I was like, oh, this is different. I'm like,
not so temporary anymore.
Yes. I was like, I don't know. It's like everything kind of shifted after that. Yeah. So long story short, I ended up staying in Vegas, building up my career there. I worked for MGM Resorts. Cool. And they have, branched under them, various casinos on the Strip. Yeah. And so I got, promoted from them. I was originally an advertising coordinator, and I worked on New York casinos account. Cool. And then through that, I got promoted to work at New York casino. And I started out being their doing their social media. So it was like right at the time where Instagram, actually, funny enough, had, just started, launching. And so I actually set up the Instagram account for New York Casino. Was their voice, their voice, all the pictures. So if you really want to do a deep dive, if you scroll back to the beginning of New York Hotel and Casinos Instagram page, that's all me.
That's awesome.
Like if you want to, that's incredible. Fun fact. Yeah. I believe it was, I want to say 2013. I hope I'm right in the year.
Just keep scrolling.
All the way to the beginning. You'll get there. Yeah. That's all me. Cool. So just started out. It was a cool time to be in advertising because that was like right when things were kind of shifting from the traditional advertising where it was strictly just print media. And obviously in Vegas, you are doing a mix of everything because you have the billboards, magazines, newspapers, but then you started, right at the beginning of my career, we started doing all the digital placements. So you're seeing online banners, you're doing mobile apps at that time. We're like starting to launch like you would have now on your phone. Yeah. I helped create some of the mobile apps for the casinos as well. So started, working on building their social media following, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at the time. And, starting to like try to engage people. And we were always doing like little tests. I remember one of the projects I actually worked on was the very beginning of influencer marketing and testing that and seeing if that had an impact on people wanting to come to the casinos. Wow. So it was just a really cool experience to... It
was a good time to be in that too.
Yes, absolutely. So I definitely learned a lot being there and like working in that environment at the time. And then I ended up, after that, I worked for Palms Casino Resort as their marketing manager. And I was doing all of their website, email marketing. I was doing like the HTML like side of, the website. So I'm like updating, coding everything. And pretty much anything, you were seeing, I was behind updating those things. Yeah. And, it got to the point where, me and Bryce got married, and then we were thinking about starting a family, where I kind of took a step back, and I took a little break for us to start a family. And initially what happened is in 2020, when the pandemic hit, the entire strip shut down.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone was let go of their jobs. So that was a weird time, because Vegas is 24/7. So it didn't matter day, time, weather. It was always jamming, like if you went on the strip. So it was really eerie to see it just like turn into a ghost town overnight. I remember we drove. I had my daughter at the time, and we had her in her car seat in the back, and we took a drive down the strip, and it was like every door was shut to every resort, casino, restaurant, and you just like drove down, and it was like silent.
I gotta tell you a funny story.
Yeah.
April of 2020, my best friend's bachelor party was scheduled for Vegas. And it was right when the first wave was coming.
Okay.
And I still remember this, sitting at my desk and seeing the press release and everything come out of Andrew Cuomo saying New York was in the state of emergency. That was when it was the 2-week thing and all this. And we started this group chat, like, we're supposed to be on a plane in 3 days. We're still going. We're this and that. And then looking into it and like, oh, they're shut down. We have to reschedule. Like, that was I still remember this. So it's wild for you to say like how you were there.
Yes.
Because I remember we were like, back and forth, like, we're still going. Oh, no, just kidding. Our flight's canceled. No, there's no way. Oh, there's nothing going on there. We're not going. Like, what a wild time to reflect on.
Well, and I think it was for us living there, it was so shocking. We were like, wait, they can't shut the strip down. Like, what do they mean? Like, they're shutting everything down? Like, that was so, like, jarring.
Sure.
Because it's, like, so many people's livelihoods, like, just overnight were gone. So, unfortunately, my husband's job was one of those, like I said, they, like, furloughed or, pretty much – they like slowly did it.
Yeah.
They had, it came in like waves where it was like started at the bottom, and then they slowly like trickled their way up to the top, and, kind of just like let everyone go, unfortunately. So we were, like I said, I'm not one to just sit around and do nothing. And so we had always talked about moving back closer to family. So it was a time where we just kind of like sat back and like reevaluated, what we really wanted to do with our lives. And we'd always talked about, building our own business and doing our own thing. Obviously, especially after working in an industry that's so competitive, they don't really value, like the employer doesn't have as much loyalty towards their, everyone is seen as replaceable.
Sure.
It's so competitive. You have someone like, if you're like moving on, moving up, moving on to something else, there's someone immediately to fill your shoes. So it's definitely like a different mindset there, which even for like the hardest working people, if you're not valued and appreciated, after a while, that is difficult to, stay in that type of environment.
Absolutely.
So we had always talked about, wanting to do our own thing. So, instead of just sitting around, we're like, okay, let's start building a business plan. Like, what do we want to do? What's like realistic? What's something that's family friendly? Because we had a daughter, and I was also pregnant at the time. So we're like, what could we do that is a place like everyone is welcome? That's so we started like brainstorming some ideas, and I was like, coffee. Like, I have so many good memories with my grandparents and family and friends all around coffee. And initially, because, we were living in Vegas at the time, and we had just built a brand new house, and it was our dream house, picked out every single detail. And so initially I was like, we were like, let's look here in Vegas to open our coffee shop, because I didn't think that I wanted to give up everything we had worked so hard to build.
Sure. Yeah.
And so we had looked around at locations there, and we had found a couple, what we thought were really good spots. And, after discussing it, like I said, we had circled back to, we had always wanted to be back living closer to family. So his family is here in New Hartford, New York, upstate New York. And my family, I'm originally from the Midwest, so I have family in Michigan and Illinois. So then we started thinking about, we had always thought about moving back. I'm like, maybe this is the time to do it, There was really nothing keeping us here. When you keep getting promoted at work, it's like, it's hard to like want to leave.
Sure.
But I'm like, now we're like at a standstill.
Yeah.
And so we decided, nope, we're gonna move closer to family. We're gonna sell our house, and we have a business plan. We know we had the coffee shop name, we had everything, business plan fully ready to go, but we're like, we don't have a location, we don't have a home to live in. Are we crazy? Maybe a little to like just leave everything behind like that. So we met with our realtor and we decided to sell our house. Our house sold fairly quickly, with it being a brand new build and like a desirable location. So our house sold, and we're like, okay, step one. All right, we're really doing this. And then my mom and stepdad came out to help us. At the time, I was 7 months pregnant, and we had a 2-year-old, a dog, our entire house full of furniture. And we sold one of our cars, and then we packed up a giant U-Haul with our entire life. And we had our other car attached to the back of the U-Haul. And we drove across the country during the pandemic. So mind you, rest areas were closed.
Yeah.
Restaurants were closed. It was like desolate. It was probably like the worst time to do a cross-country road trip.
Right.
And it was not easy. It was definitely, I still look back on that and I think to myself, I don't know how we did that, like especially with me being super pregnant.
Sure.
That was like not comfortable.
Yeah.
Definitely way out of my comfort zone. But we made it here. And like I said, when we first got here, we didn't have a house. We didn't have a location. So we were staying in like a room, essentially. My in-laws have like a guest suite.
Yep.
And we lived in their guest suite. Like our entire little family like lived in their guest suite while we looked for a home.
I just love that that's all part of the story.
Yes. Yes. It was definitely like really challenging.
Sure.
But again, I feel like when you have a dream and if you set your mind to something, you have to stay positive even through like the most difficult times. Like you can't give up on that, or like if you change your mindset on anything, like it's not going to work out. Like you have to try to stay positive and like just take it one day at a time.
Yeah. I
feel like that's what helped us through. We were just
what was the timeline of arriving here to opening the business?
It was, so it took us a while to find. We started looking for locations. I think within a day, we didn't even unpack. And we were we reached out to a realtor. We were looking for houses. And then we started looking for locations. Like I said, immediately, we didn't even unpack our bags. And we just were like, all right, it's go time.
Yeah.
And we started looking for locations right away. I'm trying to remember the exact time frame of how long it took us to find a location. I want to say a couple months, if not longer. And, we went to a couple different locations, and we're like, I just said to my husband, I'm like, when we walk in, I'll know. Like, I'll know it's the location.
Yeah.
And when we walked into the location our shop is in now, I was like, this is it. And mind you, when we walked in there, it looked nothing like it does now. We completely renovated that.
Yeah.
And we found that location, and then it took us, we did construction, I think, for about maybe almost a year.
Wow.
My husband literally was in there. I was pregnant.
Yeah.
And I was like, at this point, I was 9 months pregnant in December, and my contractor's like, when are you due? And I'm like, oh, literally any day now. So I'm like, if you don't see me for a minute, you'll know.
Yeah.
But my husband was there every single day, like we're tearing down walls. We're like, he did so much work himself to get that project going.
That's so cool.
And yeah, so it was quite a long time to do a build out because again, we're still in the pandemic like era
Right.
of things. So, you know, we did find like different companies to work with, but no one had like the need for speed on anything. I feel like we really had to be like, hey.
Yeah.
So
One thing I love that I want to draw a parallel to,
Yes.
I've shared multiple times. Mike's probably laughing over there about the business plan. I've
Yes.
shared my thoughts of a business plan, and I want you to dive into that. But
Yes.
it parallels for me of your journey from Michigan to California to Vegas. And like you said, like positive, open-minded, like we all get siloed and this is the plan.
Yes.
I'm coming from Michigan to California to trace this dream, to do this trailer, movies, all this stuff. And then this one thing happens to lead you to Vegas, to lead you here, to lead you back to opening a coffee shop. Like probably if we brought you back to where you were in college, you would have never thought of all of that, right?
No.
And I think that's so cool because that parallels exactly with a business plan. And I mean, I started my business 3.5 years ago, and I share my thoughts of a business plan of like, yeah, it's all right to write down some ideas, but don't bet on the business plan the entire time because you're going to do this, you got to do this. Like it might take longer to build the space out, all that. So talk to us about that developing phase of really like unlocking the doors for day one.
Yeah. So, like I said, we created an entire business plan. Like every detail imaginable that you can think of. Obviously, the name of the shop, which I'll get to in a minute, the inspiration behind that. But, you know, starting with the name, you know, what are we going to carry? What's our vibe going to be like? How do we want to, like, set up our decor? What's our, like, customer base? You know, every single detail you can think of, you know, we put it in the business plan. So we came here and we're like, pretty much had everything ready to go. We literally established our business in August of 2020. We like applied for like, you know, the license with the state from Las Vegas.
That's
with our
awesome.
like business name was officially established before we moved out here.
That's so cool.
So we had everything just like ready to go. And like I said, the biggest hurdle is we need a location to have a business. And like I said, it was a long process. First, like finding the location was key because, again, we had like a certain, you know, vibe and everything that we knew we wanted it to be. And you know, sometimes it can get discouraging if it doesn't happen overnight. You know, like I said, when I walked in, I would know if it was the right location. And, you know, after seeing a few different spots, you're like, this just isn't right. Like, I hope we didn't make a mistake. Like, we literally uprooted and sacrificed everything to get here.
Right.
And, but like I said, you just really have to take it one day at a time and just try to stay positive.
What would you tell yourself at that point now, 5 years removed? The nights and the conversations, especially as with the spouses of owning the business and building this. And it's not only the dream for the business, it's the dream for our family.
Yes.
And we talked a little bit before we started recording of talking about the messy middle that nobody really talks about, what's behind the curtain. And is this the right thing? We just literally uprooted our family in the middle of this pandemic that's never happened before in our time.
Yeah.
All of these things that could have been just easy to throw the towel in and say, and maybe it's just not our time to open up the coffee shop.
Yeah.
What would you say to yourself now?
Just stay the course, stay positive. I think the biggest thing is if you have a dream and you have the resources to make it happen, don't listen to anyone else's opinions.
I love that.
Because if we would have listened to anyone else's opinion, we wouldn't be open right now.
Yeah.
Because we were told it's not the right time, it's never going to happen, it won't work, try again in 2 to 5 years. And to myself, I'm thinking that's not an option. It's now or never. And I think it was just our like pure like perseverance and resilience that we're still here right now.
It just goes back to the same premise of like no option B.
Yes.
Especially at that point. You
No
think
plan
of all,
B.
You
No
think
plan
of
B.
all of those things like move my family, living in the in-laws guest suite, pregnant, young child, all these things that would be easy to say, let's just get jobs for now and we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Like that's what makes the difference in the entrepreneur story.
Yeah. And it was hard. It was really hard. It's hard from going from like, living in your own house, having your own space, having a career and an income, and, to go from having all that to like overnight nothing. That is like in itself is just, for your, mental health. You're like, you really have to like, look in the mirror and be like, I got this.
Yeah.
Like you have to stay positive in your mind. You can't let, yourself spin out with all of the negatives. 'Cause if you do that, it's like sometimes you're like spiraling yourself and it's harder to pick yourself back up. Right.
Yeah.
So you have to like just keep like one foot in front of the other and just keep moving forward until something, kind of shifts.
Yeah. Talk to us about the community aspect. And I think it's interesting for you to touch on this of not being in this area and, growing up in Michigan, being out west, coming here. Like one of the coolest things I think, like the coffee shop's always busy. And anytime I go in there, it's like, oh yeah, I got this meeting with the person over there, but hang on, I got to say hi to this. But like, it's all community.
Yes.
And I think that's so cool, especially thinking of that, like you put the business plan together in Vegas, you put the license and like, it was like, no, we're going to go, oh, by the way, across the country to set this up. And we're already getting it set up and we're going to do the damn thing when we get there. Talk about how the community's rallied around, maybe your expectations and what that's felt like.
Well, I think the first thing was instantly feeling welcomed in the community. I think, when we did sit down and talk to, obviously you have to go to the, talk to the New Hartford board, everything has to get approved. And just like the excitement behind our idea, it started to like build our confidence more in what we were doing. Because up until this point, like I said, it had been a lot of like discouraging words, like it wasn't going to work. This is like, what are you guys thinking? We're in the middle of a pandemic. This is like the worst time for you guys to be doing this. Right. And I feel like once we like actually like got there, found the location and, started building it out, just the people that we were, this is before we opened, obviously, the people we were having conversations with and, sharing our like ideas and our plans with started to be like, oh, wow, no, a lot of people are saying like, this is going to help breathe life back into the village. Like this could be something that could, start bringing people back like to the heart of the village. And I was like, that would be my dream. I mean, that's the whole thing. It's like coffee and community and having a place, like I said, in my initial like business plan is like, I want somewhere everyone feels welcome to come and where you can come and spend time with family, friends, coworkers. It's like we wanted just a space where we could create that for everyone. Yeah. And so it was just really cool to just see the community welcome us in the way they did. Sure. And obviously that's the whole reason we're still here is because we have the support of the community and, working with the Chamber of Commerce and other local business owners. And I feel like all of the resources that we used, it just really helped. And I, helped get us, like, it's not just us. Like, it takes, like, the community. Yeah.
You just pivoted me into my perfect next question that I wanted to touch on. And Mike is going to be hitting me with a kick on the time because I know we're getting there. You have an amazing team. Yes. And I think, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but from an outsider looking in, like, it's part-time help, younger help, or maybe it's a step up during college or a step up during high school. And that can be very challenging to find good people in those types of positions because there's probably a little bit more turnover. And stop me if I'm speaking out of line. I'm just thinking from the outside and like, it may not be their career to work at the coffee shop for the rest of their lives. But with that, you have an incredible team as a frequent flyer. Yes. Like everybody is welcoming. Everybody is happy. Everyone looks energized and excited to be there. Talk to us about that. And I want you to talk to it. Sorry to interrupt, but in the sense of, I think a lot of people, is industry the word, like in your industry, in your space, hospitality is like, oh, it's so hard to find good people.
So I would say I disagree. We have not had that experience. We get an overwhelming amount of people that want to work for our shop. And I don't know if it's just their experience when they come in, because for us, it's not by accident that our staff is the way they are, that the response is the way it is. We have built it this way, and we lead by example to the highest level. Like for me and my husband, we take being a good boss, being a good leader, that's like our number one priority.
So cool.
Our team is like family to us, and you treat them that way. You want to, make sure the number one thing with having our own business is we wanted a positive work environment that no matter who you're working with, who you're working for, you look forward to coming to work every day. And that was how we built our team, was with those values in mind. And like I said, it's if we don't lead by example, we're not setting up our team for success.
Sure.
So it starts with us too. So I think it's just us, taking the time to really like train them and, take the time to, get them comfortable and building their skills in, what they're doing on a daily basis, and positive reinforcement. I think, telling your team how much you appreciate them on a daily basis. This is like so key to us.
Yeah.
Is, treating them with kindness and respect and empathy, and, how we talk to and treat our customers the same way. And then they see us doing that. It's not hard for them to follow suit.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a domino effect in that way, where it's not by accident that our team, is like that.
Yeah. Well, it shows.
We're very fortunate. We're super thankful for our team. Obviously, the community support is, a big reason why we're still open 5 years later, but we also wouldn't be here without our team.
Yeah.
So I'm, credit to them as well, is that we do have an amazing team that I feel like for us, we want people that are a reflection of us and our values and, how we want people treated and, the experience. Like we also came from the hospitality industry in Las Vegas, where customer service is the number one priority. You always want to have a customer leave happy.
Yeah.
And we really took that and brought that with us here. Is, we want to make sure everyone has the best experience.
Yeah.
There's really no other option. Like it doesn't matter how the customer is towards us. I always tell the girls, like, kindness is key. I'm like, yes, it's hard because every once in a while you might get someone who comes in who just, you don't know if they're having a bad day or, what their intentions were when they came in. But sometimes you have someone who comes in and they're coming in
not
negative.
the happiest bird in the nest.
Yes.
That was good, Mike. I just got not the happiest bird in the nest. That was good.
Yes. But, every once in a while, for the most part, like 99% of people who come in are, they're going to be like, simple transaction, right? Like, but every once in a while you do have someone who comes in, and I always just tell them, kill them with kindness. You never stoop to anyone's level. Like, you have to be able to rise above.
Yeah.
And no matter what you're faced with, like,
well, it just shows. It just
level.
shows how important that is, because I've never had even close to a bad experience, and kudos to the both of you for putting it together.
I appreciate
Mike,
you saying
do me a
that
favor.
too.
Look up on your phone real quick. There's a book that's amazing called "The Customer Comes Second." Have you ever read it?
I have not.
I got to find out who it is, and we'll get back to that. Mike's hard at work over here. We got to get him his.
No, you're good.
We got to get him his editor, Cam.
I know we're running out of time, so really quick, I want to circle back because I left everyone hanging on the Calabria inspiration.
We need to know.
Yeah, so I'm going to share that really quick. So I'm really big on family ancestry, and so I obviously, once I was married, I was like, okay, you got to tell me everything about your family, your story. And so my husband's family comes from Calabria, which is a region in Italy, specifically Reggio. And so when we were thinking of names for the coffee shop, I'm like, it can't just be a name. Like, yes, of course, like a name can be cool, but I'm like, I want to have a story that people come in and we can tell people a story behind the name of our coffee shop and have like inspiration for that. So if you actually walk in, the photo, the black and white photo that's in the bar area is a picture of the coast of Calabria. There's, in the main room, we have actually someone in the area who went back on a trip to Calabria, brought us the regions of, Calabria specifically, and they brought back and we got it framed.
That's super
so
cool.
we have like little tie-ins. I just think it makes it more special
Yeah, it
to like
does.
be able to tell a story again.
Yeah.
Storytelling, which is why for me too with launching my own podcast.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Yes. So I recently launched a podcast. It's called Coffee in Hand. And I had thought about doing a podcast over the last couple years. And it was like one of those things where I was like, you know, just interacting with people in the community on a daily basis and meeting other business owners. I'm like, I know, you know, we have our own story. And I'm like seeing all these other business owners. And I'm like, I would love to know their story.
Mm-hmm.
And so I, you know, was trying to think of a way to highlight that, right? And it's like, you know, for me as a business owner, I'm like, it seems silly to say this, but this chapter of my life, I'm like, if I can have a positive impact on as many people as possible, even if it's in the smallest way, that's all I hope for.
I love
you know,
that.
especially too, I have 2 young kids. And again, I'm not just leading by example for my staff. I'm like, I want to, you know, show my kids not just with my words, but by my actions of, you know, the type of people I hope, you know, they become, you know, as they get older.
Powerful.
And so I was like, what could I do? I'm like, I just don't feel like I'm doing enough. I want to do more. And now, mind you, I just launched this podcast. It doesn't have like huge viewership. So it's not like, you know, anything crazy. But I'm like, again, I'm like just maybe sharing other people's stories.
Yeah, so
maybe
cool.
in the smallest way can have an impact, a positive impact, right? So that's all I was hoping for. And I had been thinking about it for a while, and I actually sat down with one of your recent guests, Carrie Byrne-Patello.
Oh, yes.
And I was sitting down for just a chance meeting with her in regards to something completely different. And I just happened to mention to her that I had been thinking about doing a podcast for a while now. And I had, you know, kind of shared my, you know, ideas behind it, and, you know, that I really wanted to share, you know, people's stories. And she goes, if you start that podcast, I'll be your first guest, and I'll put an article in the next issue of the magazine.
Love it.
And I go, okay.
We're doing it.
I'm like, isn't that like due in like a month? So I was like, it just was all the motivation I needed.
I love that.
literally by the way, I listen to podcasts all the time, but I had no idea what I needed to actually operate, you know, my own podcast. So I literally like within, I'm not even kidding, probably like a couple days, I was like, okay, this is the equipment I need. I'm talking to my husband about it, and he's like looking at me like, you sure you want to do this? You're already overwhelmed and like super busy. And I was like, I know, but I'm like, this could mean something. This could mean more, you know, to me.
Cool.
And I was like, you know, of course, I'm like, should I take on more? Probably not. I'm already spread really thin, but I'm like, I think this could have a positive impact. I'm like, I need to do this. And he's like, okay, then I support you. And so I literally bought all the equipment, and I reached out to my cousin who helped me with my logo, because I'm like, I can't just half do anything. I put like 110% into everything I do. I'm like, this has to be top notch, look super professional. I'm like, I'm recording an intro. You know, again, this is me just doing everything by myself. So
I love that there was like a reason to do it now.
Yes.
I tell people that all the time. Just start. I mean, we joked about when I first started doing like video content. We do a lot of video stuff for the business, and how like it took me forever to do a 2-minute video, and that like the worst person is your own person in your head that's like, oh, this has to be that, but just do it.
Sometimes you just have to go for it. And I feel like honestly, everything over the course of my life, you know, since I graduated from college, has just been just go for it.
Just do it.
And I just never looked back. And at the same point, did everything go as planned? Absolutely not. Did my plan change? 100%. Am I happy with where I am now? Absolutely. I think that everything that happened exactly how it was supposed to. Even if in the moments, like there were moments where I was like breaking down crying. I'm like, this is not what I wanted. This is not how it was supposed to go.
Yeah.
You know, you have those moments where you're like, I don't understand, right? Like, because you are just like going for it. And like I said, if it doesn't go the way you do, you kind of have to take a step back. And it's hard in the moment to see like the big picture, right? It's easy for me to look back now and be like, oh, I see it now, right? But in the moment, it was really difficult. and challenging. But it's like if everything, the trajectory and the course didn't go how it did, I wouldn't be here right now. And I wouldn't have my husband, my kids,
It's
my
so
business.
Cool. Such
and
a cool
it's like,
story.
so how can I,
Yeah. I've had a few
back.
friends that have had like side hustles that have turned into full-time, and I've shared this before. They've had like side hustles and it turns into a full-time business, and it's like that in between of where like where do I let go of this to go in? And my answer is the same all the time, and I'll take this to my grave. Like you have to get to the point where you have to do it because you have to do it.
Yes.
Like you have to do it because you have to have an income. You have to do it because you just moved your family across the country and you have to start this new life over and all this stuff. Like you have to get to that point. I know, Mike, we got to wrap up here.
One thing I was going to say on that is just one thing I always tell the girls on my team is you're the only person who can limit yourself. So I'm like, if you have
I love that.
a dream, if you have a goal, I'm like, don't listen to anyone else. I'm like, if that's really what's truly on your heart and you're passionate about it and you want to make it happen, go for it. I'm like, you're the only person who can limit yourself. And I feel like it's so important because, like, looking back over the course of my life, it's like if I would have listened to anyone else or even second guessed myself in what I was doing, I would be very limited.
It's powerful to look back at that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give us the 30-second where you guys are located, hours of operation, everything people need to know.
Yes. So Calabria Coffee, 52 Genesee Street. It's in New Hartford, New York, the Village. Yes, we are open 7 days a week, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. And on Saturday, 8 p.m. to 6 p.m., Sunday, 5 p.m. Or sorry, that doesn't make sense. Sunday, 8 p.m.
8 a.m.
My gosh, you guys.
You got it.
I had it right up until the end.
You got it right to the end.
8 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can find us on social media. We have a website, calabriacoffee.com. We also have Facebook, Instagram, TikTok.
And the podcast they can find where?
It's so also we have an Instagram. It's the, oh my gosh, my mind just like.
Coffee break?
No.
That's
so
the sign behind it.
Coffee in Hand Pod is the name of the Instagram. And then the podcast you can find on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube.
Perfect.
That was a mouthful.
That was a lot. I threw at you. I'm sorry.
If you want me to like redo it, I can.
No, that was fantastic.
That was terrible right
that
at
was
the
great.
end.
Thank you so much for taking the time.
Yes, thank you so much
Such an
for
incredible
having
story.
me on.
Super cool.
Thank you.
I think a lot of people
appreciate
are going to learn a lot they didn't know, and I really just appreciate your time.
Yes, of
Everybody,
course.
another episode of the Make an Impact podcast. Until next time, go out there, lead with purpose, and make an impact in someone's life today, even if that's your own. My name's Stephen Turnbull. We'll see you next week. Take care.